Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Week 8 on the Maroon Momentum Show. I am your host, Jonathan Duff, and it is a victorious Thursday as we leave the Austin Peay week with a win, a huge win that the team needed, but also a fun one to win by 2 scores against a rival like that. It's always a good time. Now, I know the team's already flushed it. I'm looking forward to getting to talk to them today as we look forward to the North Alabama game at North Alabama this weekend. Those around, those close, and those that can make the drive, you guys should go. It's going to be a good one, I think. Just a quick recap on the Austin Peay game. Obviously, that quarterback was as tough as we said he was. He incredibly mobile, a good arm, but getting that pick six on him was huge by Vito Tisdale to close out the half. Defense kept us in it in the first half with a special teams touchdown with TJ Mitchell on the kickoff return and the pick six by Vito and the field goal by Buzz Flabiano to make it 2017 at half. And then yet again, the defense pitched a shutout in the second half. Another display of an incredible Coach Jake Johnson defense with a lot of really good superstars on that defensive side of the ball. Pitched a shutout. EKU wins 34-20, and the offense finally got rolling, and we could see what they were capable of in that second half. Big talking point of it, 6.1 yards per carry. I think that's been a theme over the past couple weeks between Brady Hensley, who's emerged onto the scene in the past couple weeks, and also Braden Latham, who we always knew was a stud and has been around a while. And then also Miles Burkett adding 41 rushing yards and a touchdown as well. He also had probably his best completion game, 18-24. Really good to see a clean game from him and a high completion percentage. I know that was something, we were saying that the offense needs to catch their groove, and they really did in that second half. Some big plays from some wide receivers. Dequan Stanley we'll have on later, Jaden West and Marcus Cowwise. And lastly, a shout out to Buzz Flabiano for nailing a 51-yard field goal. I think that's tied for the longest here in at least the last 5 years at EKU, or 6 years, sorry. So pretty incredible. We got a loaded show today with you. Josh Carter, EKU legend, former running back last year, a part of that incredible run and really the corner piece to that entire incredible run. He's joining us today to talk a little bit of ball, and he was in Richmond this week. We got Dequan Stanley on after that, and then Jeremiah Bailey. But before we get to Josh, I just want to give a huge shout out to John Clark State Farm for sponsoring this show. I hope that you've checked your social media. John Clark State Farm is out in the community of Richmond. They are giving back, and like I say every week, it's not only a business looking for your insurance needs, but they're also there to just help everyone. A strong, morally sound business, and a great guy John Clark is. So I say it every week. You can always count on Clark. So with that said, I'm excited to have the first guest on, EKU legend, Josh Carter. Josh, how are you?
Bad. What's the word, man? How you doing?
I'm
I'm good,
good,
man. I'm
man.
just
It
living
was
the dream. How you doing?
I'm good. My bad here. Hang on. My Wi-Fi is bugging out on me. Hopefully you can get me right here.
It could be me too. It could be me.
Okay. It was super cool to see you this weekend. It's been a while, I know that you've had a pretty incredible past few months or year or however long it's been since I've seen you. You got to go do mini camp with the Buffalo Bills, which is a experience not many people get to accomplish and go see. Tell me a little bit about that part of your journey after last season.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was definitely good to see a familiar face in Jonathan Double back, my guy, my. So I wanted to say, it was good seeing you again, getting to be around you, getting to feel your energy, and having good conversations throughout the weekend. So I'm blessed. I'm pleased with that. But the Bills minicamp, it was interesting because it was my first real professional environment, I guess I should say. It's literally for in college. You have your schedules set for you, but it's kind of don't show up on time, stuff like this punishment. And at any camp, one thing I learned very quickly was that they're gonna give you a itinerary, and whether you're there or not is completely up to you. And you just got to be willing to.
I think we just lost Josh right there. I think the Wi-Fi crashed out. So as we try to get Josh back here, I will hold 1 second. Please hold. But with that said, I'll kind of dive into the Austin Peay game a little bit more with some more detail there. It was fun. It was fun. It was fun to be a fan, go to the game, and see the guys ball out the way that they did. Like I said, I think a lot of people were frustrated early on. Obviously, we didn't have the start that we wanted for the season, but to see the offense progress each game, you just sit there and you're like, I know it's there. I know it's there. You got a lot of returning guys like Dequan Stanley, who we're going to talk to soon, who have been awesome in the past and, just hadn't had the opportunity yet, hadn't gotten the touches. Cal-Wise, we know Marcus Cal-Wise is a beast. He hadn't gotten the touches that he was used to getting or the volume of targets. So to see the offense gel in the second half this week, I think was just a culmination of what we had been saying. And it was just that this team's got it. The offense has it. It just takes a little bit longer for an offense to click and gel just because of all the new pieces that you bring in. I'm excited to talk to Dequan Stanley later. I mean, to throw a new quarterback into a new system and give him, 4 to 6 short months to go learn a system and step in. It takes some time, and to get into the game speed of things away from a defense that knows what you're running every day at practice and is used to seeing the same players and knows your players' tendencies to every which way. It's just a different challenge, and the team has to gel together. So I think that it's a lot similar to last year. I keep drawing these parallels, and it's not just because I was on the team last year, but it really is. It took us a while. Matt came in. He was a new guy. It wasn't the same offense as years prior because we didn't have, the same face for, Parker McKinney. We had him for 6 years. So to have the same face on the offensive side of the ball gets you a sense of chemistry and calmness. So it's really exciting times to go see them, rise to the occasion and not only just beat Austin Peay, but beat them by 2 touchdowns. It is an exciting time to be a Colonel. With that said, too, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next guest that is ready because Josh is – hold the phone. I think we have Josh on right now, so just give me 1 second. As I'm diving more into the defensive side of the ball, I'm excited to have Jeremiah Bailey on later because Jeremiah Bailey, he's one of the unsung heroes. He doesn't get all the spotlight, and he does deserve it. If you ask me, he got gypped of a preseason award, but obviously everyone else will tell you too. Preseason doesn't matter. It's postseason. So with that said, I'm going to go back to my superstar guest here, Josh Carter. I think he's joined us back now. So here, I'll bring him up.
Yeah, bro. I'm
Josh, there
sorry
you
about
are.
that. Yeah, it cut out on me. I don't know what the deal was with that. But
No problem at all.
I'm gonna just start where I left. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that type of environment was interesting to me because you start to see people kind of take that for granted a little bit, and I was taking the moment in as much as I could. Like one thing I was really happy with was how receptive the running back room was with how big of an opportunity this is for us as far as like being at camp and getting to experience stuff that a lot of people don't even get to go through. Even if you don't end up signing, it's still a blessing to just be a part of the process. You know what I mean? And that's something that definitely stuck out. And yeah, I'm just happy to get that opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, you're a part of a fraction of 1% of college athletes that get to go do that and get to go put on the NFL helmet and get an opportunity. And I know that you're still training and working because you still have that opportunity, just fresh off of a mini camp. Talk to me about kind of what you've been doing now. I know you've been training, but you also have a cool little podcast of yourself getting a bunch
Yeah.
of studs on there. Talk to me about kind of what you're up to now.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the most part, just working out, staying in shape, making sure we're doing what we need to do to get back on the field by any means necessary. Did a couple workouts for some teams, did some workouts with the UFL, got some interest, So we're just slowly chipping away at that opportunity and see what presents itself from that avenue. But yeah, me and my brother started a podcast. The Carter Code podcast is has been in the works for a long time. I remember a huge thing for me even coming to EKU, and Coach Wells was there for the whole rundown of, I was kind of breaking down to him like what I wanted to get into. And being a podcast host was originally a part of my plan. The university has that room that you can, do radio shows or whatever the case is. So they have your studio room. So that was a huge selling point for me, was to be able to be around that type of environment too, and get to learn from the guys that are speaking, and how to control an interview, and just how to market the interview, market the podcast itself, that way, blow this thing as possible. So now that's just been a huge thing for us to get this thing going. I'm excited. Getting some good this
Josh, I think we're losing you here.
oh man.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
You're a little fuzzy here. Oh, I might have gotten you back here. I got you
I can
back.
hear
I got
you.
you back.
Okay,
Yeah, I
bet.
got you back. But you say that was a selling point for you. That's one thing I'm interested in talking to you about, because I think you hit the portal back when it probably wasn't nearly as popular and there's money going around and
Yeah.
stuff like that as it is now. What's your take on the portal, and what did make you decide to go to EKU?
Um. Yeah. So when I entered the portal, it was very, very fresh. NIL had just been passed, so like there was a lot of people not really knowing the landscape of where it was headed to, which is now, which is, in my opinion, when it first started, I just think that there was so much that was involved that you couldn't really predict the directions that it was going, because there was just so many different ways that it could go. Until where we're at now is like you're having guys sign 1 year contracts and liable to get cut at any moment. I'm super happy that I ended up getting out at the right time to avoid all of that. But um yeah, the portal is interesting. The biggest thing for me coming to EKU, to be really transparent with you, bro, is that it was really the only place that I could go that I could graduate on time, around the scheduled time that I was. I had offers to go other places, but they wouldn't accept my transcripts. So it was kind of one of those things where like it just makes sense to end up at Eastern Kentucky, and it was a good opportunity to play football. I had just freshly made the move to running back from linebacker, so I didn't really have too much tape. I mean, I'm just super happy that I think Coach Richardson can attest to this. I think he just struck gold, because if you watch my tape that I was, promoting, it was really more of, I was getting recruited because of who I know, not necessarily what I was putting on film. And not that what I was putting on film was bad, but like it just wasn't enough to get that much recognition. So it was yeah, I had offers to go a few different places. I would just have to restart my entire collegiate education um process. So to me, that part just wasn't worth it. So I was just, look, man, I come to Kentucky. I came here on blind faith. I had no clue what Kentucky was gonna be about, but I am truly happy that I ended up here.
No doubt. Well, we're truly happy that you ended up here. Um,
Absolutely.
when you talk about going from linebacker to running back, I know you've kind of been exhausted into talking about this all the time, because it's incredible what you're able to accomplish as a running back. Tell me kind of how that transition went about, how easy or hard it was, and I'm sure your brother helped the process in the terms of just like you coming from a running back family. Kind of speak on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I originally I grew up playing running back my entire life until about sixth grade. No, fifth grade. I'm sorry. No, it was sixth grade. I'm sorry. It was sixth grade, and I was always. My dad used to tell me, "You a biscuit away from 200." So like I was always I was a bigger kid, and we had weight limits in our little league program. So um, I got to a point to where I just could not. deal with one having to lose weight every week just to be able to play the game. So I just was like, heck, I'm gonna just say F it. I'm just gonna be a defensive lineman, get the little red stripe across my helmet, and I ended up being really productive in that aspect. And then I kind of took that with me, and then I started playing AAU football, so that didn't have any weight limit restrictions on it. So I ended up being able to play defensive line and play running back. Although I was obviously way too chubby to play running back, bro. I was like 12 years old and 205 pounds. I literally weigh what I weigh right now is what I weighed when I was 13. So it was just,
Oh
and
man.
I wasn't cut at all. As a child 205 pounds. So it's all chubby in the face, chubby everywhere, big stomach going over the waistband, like all that type of stuff. So yeah, that whole thing just was an experience in itself. And then I took that all the way up into high school, and then I ended up having one of my best years ever as a defensive lineman in my sophomore year in high school. And then my coaches were like, "Shoot, man, we love you at defensive line, but you're not gonna get recruited at a 5'9", 255 pound defensive." So it was like either you can make that transition to linebacker slash running back, or I mean, you can continue to play D line, but just know your collegiate career doesn't look promising at that
Mm.
size. So I was like, just take that chance, become a just become a linebacker, become a running back. Ended up excelling in those departments too, because that's just something that's been instilled in me from day one. And then both my brothers helped me throughout that process. Fast forward into college, being able to pick their brains about running back, because it felt natural to me, but they had been there at the collegiate level. They'd been there at the professional level at that point. So it's like getting able to get their perspective on the ins and outs, the little details that goes into playing running back that you typically wouldn't really be interested in learning unless you were in that position. So that was something that was huge for me. They helped me along the way. And my dad too, he ended up being a Division 1 running back whenever he was in college too. So just picking everybody's brain, just take little advices, piece of advice from them, and that was just a huge thing for me that ended up becoming what it is now.
I'm sure. I mean, it was a that's a wealth of knowledge just to be a part of a Division 1 running back family across the board, and also an NFL running back family. It's pretty special, and I think it's apparent when you play. When we had you last year as our lead back. Through your time at EKU, we had B. Sloan there with you. I know you were really close with
Oh,
B. Sloan. We had
absolutely.
Latham. The past couple years, we had Latham, and we had Brady Hensley last year. We had Telly. We had Jamont. The running back room, I want to call EKU FCS RBU because I mean the running backs are always producing. And talk to me kind of about the rooms you were a part of, and I've talked to the other running backs that are currently on the team about this and what makes that room so competitive, so special, and how you guys were able to push one another throughout your time.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great question. So when I originally got there, we had Keandre, we had Telly, we had Raekwon, we had. I know I'm missing people. We had Rome. I know I'm missing some
Right.
people, some guys, but one thing we all wanted to do was just compete. We were all hungry to play football, bro, and that
Mhm.
was the biggest thing for us was to just keep motivating each other because we already knew what the grind was. It wasn't always fun. It wasn't always cupcakes and rainbows, but it was definitely a brotherhood that we ended up bonding over that experience that we all shared. So that was always a good room leading up into last season. Whenever B ended up leaving, and then Braden Latham ended up stepping into that role. Whenever I had to fulfill the role of being the starter.
Mhm.
And one thing that me and BB always talked about, bro, is just like we just gotta put our best foot forward at all times because you never know when the opportunity is gonna get taken away from you. I was fortunate enough to be in the position to where I could, sort of have that mentoring role for the younger guys, such as BB and B Hens, just because I feel like at that point I just had a lot of experience in the college realm. So that was something that you know they knew that they could learn from, and obviously I think you seen us in practice, man. Like we were highly competitive. If one of us scored, we all felt like we had to end up getting into that box too. So that was something that we all just fed off each other's energy, and that was huge for us. Even even Telly, like Telly was a guy that he could pop off at any moment,
Mhm.
and he was kind of that spark plug to us whenever we weren't necessarily in our right state of mind. We already knew that like he was gonna bring that extra energy, that extra pop to our room that was gonna in a sense just bring that everything full circle, all that energy to us. So yeah, extremely blessed to be in the room with those guys because you obviously see how they're working out now. Be hands, man.
Yeah.
I mean, when he first got to EKU, like he was just a young kid. He always had that ability. He was just young. First year of college, you can attest to it. Like it's a new experience. You're seeing new faces.
Mhm.
You're seeing, new buildings, and you're gonna have to learn a completely new system at that point. So taking it slow for him was just, it worked all in his favor. And then you see how he's producing now this year. He's if I'm not mistaken, he's put up 200-yard games back to back, and he's doesn't look like he's on any pace to slow down. So salute to that man, because I had some talks with him this weekend, and he just seems he's always just smiling. You already know B Hands, he's a smiler, man. He's a smiler, he's a laugher, and this is just kudos to that guy for sure.
He is, and he knows how to outrun a defense with his two big long runs in the past two games. He has been awesome. So's Latham, and we could talk for days and hours on those two and how talented they are. Let's talk about last season a little bit. I'd say you ingrained yourself as a legend. You go for 3 straight games with a game-winning touchdown. Did you ever expect something like that? How did you keep yourself level-headed in those crunch time moments in that roller coaster of a year?
I appreciate the legend tag. I don't feel like I earned that, but if I'm getting it from Jonathan Duff, that means I'm doing something right, man. So, you know, I
You earned
appreciate
it.
that. But yeah, to be honest, I was just always just I pride myself on getting to the end zone. I by any means, I never really looked at it as like, okay, I'm gonna just get this game winning run. If and obviously it just ended up leading into those situations, but you know. It started off with that Tarleton game, and I just felt it from the get go. I was like, man, I had a really good night's of rest the night before, and I just was excited to play the game. And it was a ranked opponent at the time, so we had already dropped a game against ACU, and then
Mhm.
we dropped the game that I fully believe should have been a cakewalk for us in Southern Utah. So that those two losses kind of drove me to the point where it's like it's my last year playing collegiate football. I gotta make the most of it. And one thing I always took pride in was you run the ball hard on first down, second down. I will pass block. Do not get it twisted. But if they're bringing an all out blitz, the last thing I really want to do is just go stick my head in shit. Like I will do it. Don't get it twisted. I absolutely will do. I don't have a problem with it. But if I could get the ball on third down, if I run the ball hard on first and second down, there's a good chance that I will get the ball on third down. So I
Yep.
just took that into consideration too. Just run hard first, second down, and if it don't get the first down at that point, the odds are you're gonna get the ball again or get an opportunity to have the ball in your hand. Run a quick game, run a quick flat route. Just get the ball in your hand. But yeah. So those moments never really were planned, I guess you should say. I always just come to the game thinking we're just gonna win anyway. But then we get into those last second situations, and I'm like, shoot, I'm always betting myself. I always think if I'm in the game, we're gonna have a chance. So that's something that ended up playing out to what it was. Ended up being 3 game-winning touchdowns. Um, should have been a fourth. I'm super sick that we didn't get that Villanova win, but
I
it
know.
happens. But yeah, I'm just extremely blessed to be put in those type of situations to have that trust from the staff to put the ball in my hands whenever the game is needed.
Absolutely, and I always, of course, love the one against Austin Peay because I don't like Austin Peay, and apparently their coach, I don't know. Apparently, I saw a little video this week or last week where their coach was trying to say last year's EKU game was a fluke of a victory for
Mm,
EKU. So good to see those guys get a 2 touchdown win and solidify
absolutely.
that 2 years in a row. I got 2 more questions for you, and one is we talk about last year. I've paralleled it a little bit with this year because EKU obviously didn't have the start that they wanted, but I would also argue, they dropped one conference game early that I'm sure they wish they had back. We had dropped 2 last year, and talk about kind of where the tide turned with, there was some pressure on the offense and there was pressure on the team as a whole. Where did the tide turn? I mean, obviously I have my point of view, but from your point of view, kind of how did that ship get righted and everything get turned around to have that incredible end of the season and make the playoff run that we needed?
Yeah. I think one thing huge for us, because you obviously know, even the numbers are gonna prove it too. Like, we just weren't clicking as a unit offensively for the most part. I mean, going into we scored 7 points against Mississippi State. Scored 0 points against Western Kentucky. And then, we had that players meeting. We were like, man, we got to get it going. And then we had a separate offensive players only meeting to where we had to just take accountability for, you can't always just point the finger. Like, we have to take accountability for our production too. So one thing that I think all of us ended up taking it to heart was like, and we had a lot of seniors on that unit as well. So we were all just on the same page of, this is our last college football season. Like, we got to make the most of it. And we'd all been on the team prior that we had that playoff appearance, and we ended up losing, but we still had that playoff appearance. So we all knew what it took to get there, and we had that chip on our shoulder that our back was against the wall, and the famous line was, "Our back against the wall, the only way to go is forward." And that's what we just really took to heart was, just putting it all out there. And if the chips fall in an unfortunate way for us, then at least we could say we did everything that we could to, control what we could. And that ended up just changing the mindset for the entire unit. And that's from the starters to the third string guys. That we were on each other consistently, making sure that we were putting out the product that we want every day. And every practice that we had offensively wasn't the greatest, but one thing we all knew what we had to do was, even if we had a bad Monday, just have a better Tuesday. And you have a better Tuesday, just have a better Wednesday. And it all ends up just, if you can look better from Monday to Saturday when we play, that's all we can ask for, is just play free, at that point.
That's super well said. And I think another thing, and I'm looking forward to talking to Daquan here shortly, just to talk about, I think certain things too are when you have key pieces like, Matt Morrissey came in last year, had to be a transfer thrown into a new system. You had new receivers, you have new tight ends. I think we had a new tight end.
Yeah.
So you throw different pieces in there, and offense just naturally takes a little bit longer to gel than a defense does.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's something I've been excited watching each game this year with EKU that they're building on, and I think that the offense showed what it is capable of here in the second half last week. The last kind of question I'll ask you, and we kind of highlighted it earlier. Originally, I was going to talk to you, what are you doing now? Because I know that you've had tryouts, you had the mini camp, you've had workouts. Moving forward, let's talk about your brother, Michael Carter, a guy
Right.
who had some success in the NFL as a starter, ended up, I believe, starting this year. He was a practice squad guy, and now he's back in that starting role. So you talk about a roller coaster. I know that you've gone to a lot of his games and that you guys are really close. How cool and inspiring is that? Because I believe it is for everybody, but just for you as his brother, fighting, knocking the door down to get into the league, to see, someone who goes from starter to practice squad and fights his way back in and had an incredible game. I watched 2 weeks ago. I think it was like 70 yards or something in his first game off the practice squad.
Yeah.
Talk about just kind of how cool that is and what kind of motivation that gives you.
So yeah, it's obviously, it's been ingrained in us since we were born. Essentially, was just to, expect greatness throughout our personal lives, and then throughout our athletic lives. And that's something that he has taken very personally. It was like he wants to be the greatest at everything that he does, and that's a competitive nature that you can't really teach. You know what I mean? And that's something that I've taken to heart for me, is that seeing that firsthand. Obviously, everybody sees Michael Carter the athlete, but I see Michael Carter my brother. So it's like I get to
Mhm.
see a little bit of what happens behind the scenes, and it's truly a testament to his character for his journey to be as wild as it has been. Getting drafted and being a starter and then being demoted and then going to practice squad and then being lifted up and then going back to practice squad and then being lifted up again. It's been an emotional roller coaster, and that just seeing him be able to, you know, look at it from an unbiased perspective and continue to push himself every day to just be the best, version of himself. And that's something that I love to just take for me, just because I get to see that firsthand. So that was truly inspiring. It's always inspiring. I get to talk to him every day if I really, really need to, But I try to let him be his own man too, just have his personal space. If he feels like he hadn't talked to me for a while, he'll call me. If I feel like I ain't talked to him for a while, I'll call him. It's one of those relationships. We're all very, very close. My family is just very tight knit. So I'm just fortunate to be blessed a part of that type of situation. And yeah, just that's his opportunity is just presenting himself, and he's just keep chopping at the wood. Proud of him for that.
There's no doubt. You have a very, you should be proud, and you have a very inspiring family, both on the field and the things that you guys do in your community. I know that we've talked about before, back
Yeah.
home and everything, and off the field with your podcast. I wish you nothing but the best with that. I know I'll be tuning in, and I really, really appreciate you giving me time with the EKU legend on this show today to talk some ball after the Austin Peay game last weekend. I really
So
appreciate it.
I appreciate you, duffel bag platform, man. This is huge.
Awesome. I appreciate you, bro. You have a good one. That was running back Josh Carter. Sorry for some of the technical difficulties there, but man, you can tell that guy runs a podcast because he is incredibly well spoken and gives so much good insight. And also, like I said, I did not exaggerate when I said that. He is an EKU legend. 3 straight game-winning touchdown drives on a playoff run of a season. Always good to catch up with Josh. Great human being. So now, with that said, I'm looking forward to having Dequan Stanley up here in a second. A guy who went 4 catches of 59 yards last week after following up after a touchdown performance in the week before. He's been a rock for the offense in the past 2 years. Here we go. Here is Dequan Stanley. Dequan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. First off, before we start, I'd like to give all glory to God, and let's do it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, like I said, you've kind of been a rock for the offense. But what comes with that load is you have to take a shot every now and again. And man, you went over the middle and you took a shot. Just tell me how you're feeling after that, because I have not. I can't imagine the feeling of, you're looking at the ball and you got someone coming right here. So tell me how you're feeling right now and what it's like, the guts that it takes to play receiver in those moments.
All right. First off, I want to start off by saying we know that's not my first kill shot from Austin Peay.
Yes, we
You
do.
remember that? I took my first year here against Austin Peay. I had Parker McKinney threw me a seam ball. I took a shot.
Hmm.
Last year, slot fade, I took a shot again, and then this year, obviously I took that shot across the middle of the field. Um, it's like as a receiver, it's coming. You just don't know when. And like during that situation, like I kind of felt his presence, but like it kind of was still kind of like it was kind of eerie because I felt like I could have ran if I'd have ran the slant a little bit flatter, but I ran that at a higher angle. And obviously, when the quarterback throws the ball and you just collide into it, yeah, that sucks. But truth be told, I'm a little hurt, but like
Hmm.
not as bad. Like I will be playing this weekend,
Yeah.
and like it's not stopping me for nothing just because I just got that dog in me.
Yeah. Yeah, you got that week 8 bruising probably, I'd imagine. You see everyone start to walk a little bit different. I think
Yeah.
wide receivers get a little bit of a bad rep sometimes. People want to say in the game of football, not at EKU, but you're not no lineman or D lineman sticking your head in there blocking. But man, as a receiver, you got to take a lot of defenseless shots, and you
Mhm.
also the amount of miles and yardage you have to put on is unlike anybody else. I know you guys have those catapults on. What is an average, if you know off the top of your head, week or day look in terms of numbers as a wide receiver and running?
Well, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you one day I had this week. Probably my highest player load I ever had. I want to say what it was Tuesday was one of the like most straining day I ever had. I had a total of 8,000 yards, and the person below that was like 6,000. So being a
Wow.
receiver is very taxing on the legs, but obviously rehab and just self recovery, get you right. But it's very taxing being a receiver, and like you were just saying, like O line and stuff like that. Don't think like receivers that hard, but the thing about EKU receivers, we gotta go block too. So
No
it's like
doubt.
how about I say? So if we in the run game as well as much as we doing running routes and stuff like that. So it's basically just taxing just for the receivers, to be honest.
You know what? You reminded me of something, and I was going to go another direction and continue to talk about receiver. I'll bounce back to it. You're the off returner on kickoff return. Obviously, we had a big return, touchdown return, TJ Mitchell. I know you're excited for TJ. Everybody loves
Right.
TJ. He's a dynamic playmaker, but you had a key block on that play. You put someone on their backside. Talk to me about
Yeah.
kind of having to take pride in that role and what
Yeah.
you see develop and kind of your job on that.
Yeah, so like as we know, the off returner job is to clean it up. If something eerie, you go in there, clean it up, go put your face on it. And me knowing TJ since he first got here, I basically took him in. That's a little brother to me, and my like protect the role that his big brother. I don't want to see TJ get hit or hurt or anything. So like me, I'm glad and fortunate to be the one who, his off returning to guide him to the right spots and whatnot. And like as that play was going on, all I'm thinking is, I know TJ explosive. I know he's fast. I know he can do what he got to do. I just got to be the one that open it up for him. And as like the pocket of like the hole open, I seen a dude just crashing in, like just flying. I'm like, okay. I'm like, cause I could have just missed him and just got the kicker. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, if TJ get caught by a kicker, TJ is slow. So I'm like, okay, let me take away the most dangerous, which is that dude. So I just put my face on him. And next thing you know, see, I didn't see what happened because obviously we take a hit. You feel the feel the
Yeah.
compact of the, so I'm on my hands and knees and I'm just shaking my head like, dang, I just got hit. But when you watching film, it's the opposite, it's the other way around. I just hit this dude.
Mhm.
He just popped up, but I was on hands and knees just like, and everybody's like, Quan, you didn't get up and celebrate. I said, there ain't no need to celebrate. I already know TJ in there.
Yep, yep. And he
Yeah,
was. I mean, that was an awesome play, and I had to go rewatch it because I was there in person. But when I
yeah,
rewatched it, I rewinded it like 4 times to see. I was like, "Who had that block?" And it was you. And,
yeah.
you talk about receivers putting their face in there. That was an awesome block and an awesome play. Let's go
Mhm,
back to the receiver talk.
mhm,
I wanted to talk about the mentally and, just outside of physical toughness, but just the mental side of being a receiver. We
yeah,
talk about, and I know that you heard earlier on the show, we're talking about, the offense gets rolling. It takes a little while to develop. The chemistry with a quarterback and receiver is so key.
mhm.
And I think on Saturday, it looked the best that it's been all year.
Right.
Talk about the importance, what goes into building that chemistry, and why did it look so great on Saturday? Do you think just, reps paid off, and just kind of talk about that significance of chemistry there?
Yeah, I'm definitely a firm believer of repetition. The just amount of reps you get with a quarterback or just anybody in general, you kind of got a source of feeling of where this person supposed to be and how this person throw the ball. So like during the year, like during like obviously the beginning of the season, it was kind of demoralizing because like you said earlier in the podcast, like I'm one of those guys that I'm saying I used to be the key target, or I was like a big play this, big play that. And like from the beginning of the season, it's like when you go from that to like you only touching the ball like once or twice and it's not really explosive, you just getting chunk yard, it's kind of demoralizing. But like as you talked about earlier with Josh, it's like um basically like let's put it like this, like it's building blocks. Offense don't mesh in a day. That's
No.
impossible. I don't believe if anybody say that's possible, I don't believe it. Because you got O line, quarterback, receiver, and running back. It's 4 different groups that need to mesh. It's either so like one day you'll have running back clicking, but the O line not clicking, or you'll have the O
Mhm.
line clicking, the quarterback not clicking, or you'll have a quarterback clicking, the wideouts not clicking, and it's like since each like obviously we practice throughout the week. Tuesday, like Monday, we get Mondays off now. Tuesdays throughout, so those built-in repetitions of knowing what everybody doing now. So it just basically improving each week. And like one thing I noticed from this Saturday, I mean last Saturday when we played Austin Peay, that week in practice was probably one of the best practices we had. Like we had the O line communicating with the receivers. We had a running back communicating with the O line, just knowing where each other going, and like that when I seen that, because I haven't seen that yet for this team last year. Oh yeah, I seen that all the time. But
Mhm.
this year, I haven't seen that until that week of like playing Austin Peay, and I'm like, okay, I think the offense gonna start meshing just because of, like communication go a long way. If you don't got communication, your team gonna fail. And like I think we're starting to grasp that. And like now that everybody's communicating, the offense kind of moving more fluently now. Like obviously there's still things we need to improve on, but that comes with like we just talked about repetition. And like which we're getting those repetition reps and it should look pretty fun this weekend.
Good, and it really has. You can tell the progression. And I would even go back to say, last year at first we started slow, and we
Mhm.
talk about that 3-game run where Josh had those 3-game winning touchdowns. Well, you went 4 games in a row with 5 combined touchdowns. So we saw some explosion there, and it took a second to gel. I do personally think with the transfer portal nowadays, it is harder. You're bringing in guys with shorter amount of time to get them all to work together, and getting all 11 to gel on offense, like you said, is so importantly. So I think that's why you see a gradual development more than ever in the offense. But no doubt, I mean, that second half was something to be very proud of and exciting because you've seen tidbits and you're just like, man, I know these guys have it. And you guys had like your own little coming out party right there in the
Mhm.
second half. Talk to me kind of about when you go for 4 catches for 59 yards. I know that's a relief. You caught a touchdown last week. You start to gel and get going. Was there
Mhm.
anything? Is there anything on those games where you feel like you're in a groove? Is there anything you're specifically seeing, like, oh, I can attack that? Or what does the
Mhm.
in game look like when you're on the sideline and you're like, man, I'm feeling it. Give me the ball. Are you telling anyone to give you the ball? What's it like in
Yeah,
game on
yeah.
the sideline?
Okay. I would say, of course, of course. You know, like being that role last year, I was one of those guys like Matt. Please throw me the ball. I don't care what happened. I'm gonna make something happen. I still got that same mindset, that same edge. I'll come to the like Miles. Let's say Miles make a completion or he throw a bad ball. I'm like, hey Miles, hey, you can come to me now. Like I got you. And so like, oh. No, it's pretty crazy because I'm one of those. I'm a competitor. I don't care what it is. You can have your best corner on me. I'm still think I'm gonna win regardless. So like me just trying to be a helping hand to like relax Miles like brain while he's out there, just to give him more confidence and stuff like that. Cause all the quarterback really need to see like three good passes.
Mhm.
They see 3 good passes, they own. And like Miles, one of those. If we get him going, he's juiced up.
He's on.
And like another thing is like even though I had that type of wide out game, I don't feel satisfied because one thing Coach Cox always tell us, hey, we not satisfied. We need 3 receivers plus 100 with touchdowns. Like Coach Cox's main goal is to have 3 receivers with 100 touchdowns in one game. And like we're not satisfied. And we trying to get that. And like
Mhm.
once I see that, oh, we made some significant improvement. But you know, obviously that game, the Austin Peay game, it was a confidence booster for Miles just for him to see that if he throw the ball downfield, a receiver will bail him out if it's bad, or you just got playmakers that just make a play on the ball if you throw it. So
Yeah,
that was
and
definitely a confidence booster.
you seem to love the deep ball. You seem to love the end zone. Is it true that back in 2022 when you were at USF, did you have one career catch and take it 73 yards to the house? Is that right?
I did against the ranked Tulane team.
Wow. So yeah, so I'm looking back at some stats because I know last year you took one like 70 something, 60 something. You
Yeah.
you were the big play guy, and
Mhm.
to see you making big plays last week and get the ball your way was pretty exciting. Talk to me kind of about when you look at a game week. It can be Austin Peay or it could be UNA. When you look at film, what are you looking for as a receiver out of the secondary, the corners, the linebackers? What are you looking for throughout the week?
All right, so me when I personally self scout and watch film, I look at who's guarding like a certain position. Like this week they got me in the slot. normally I play outside for this season, but this week they got me in the slot. So like my key details of who I'm focusing on mainly is the nickel and the safety. What I look for is how they is coming out of breaks, what they doing man coverage, what happened if you stutter your feet, like does they what happened if you look back or you give like a hezzy move? Do they eyes go to the quarterback or do it stay on you? Like I'm kind of what you'll call a film junkie when it
Yeah,
comes to that type of stuff, just because I just watching film definitely gives you an upper advantage of how somebody is, and once you master that, or just not even master it, like if you just watch so much of it, it kind of becomes repetition, like we just been speaking of. The key word for this podcast for
mhm.
me is repetition. It's like you see it so much that when you go in the game, you're not surprised by it. You know what to expect because you've seen it so much. And like that's the kind of stuff I look for. And when I was outside, I would kind of look at like the shell of the defense, like the corner, both of the safeties, and the other corner, and like I'll pick up on tendencies. Like if like one tendency that you can easily call out is a corner crash. And like that's something we kind of struggle with just because we haven't been calling it out, but like now we calling it out and stuff like that. But when you see like a safety off the hash and a corner like pressed inside, eyes inside, like you can feel it coming. And like just I don't know, just basically picking up on those small tendencies. That's what I like to do. And then like another thing I kind of like doing. So like we got a player on the team that's kind of he a little trash talker named Ron. Uh, I will like look at games and see like when a team is nitpicking with them, who will retaliate, like who will retaliate or who will respond, because that plays a big role to it too. Like if your mom ain't in it, you not in it. So like if you can find ways to just manipulate them just a little bit, you got them.
That's smart. I haven't heard that. That's smart.
Mm-hmm.
As an offense moving forward from last week, what's the emphasis this week, and what are you guys looking to either build on or continue?
Well, Coach Well want us to run the ball. Like he want to put an emphasis on that we can run the ball. But me personally, since I'm being a receiver, kind of on the selfish side, I want to show that we can throw the ball. Like that's been like our thing for 2 years now. Even when we had Matt, a lot of people didn't think we can throw the ball, and like we can throw the ball. So I just want to prove
Yeah.
that we can just throw the ball. To be honest.
There's a lot of playmakers in that receiving room, and
Mhm.
you obviously one of them. But with Jaden West, Cal Wise, TJ, Vaca, I'm forgetting a bunch, but there are a lot of receiver playmakers in that room. Ron Van,
Mhm.
of course. Now I'm going to feel that I need to call everybody out, but they are all studs, and we all know who the receiver room is. My
Mhm.
last question for you: when you go into a game, do you have a predetermined touchdown celebration? Are we going to see a dance move next time you're in the end zone, or is it a spontaneous event?
Well, I was about to say they're very spontaneous, but I had one in particular, but I wasn't expecting to score that one time, and like I was just like I don't know what to do, so I just did something. But my girl, she's on the dance team. Shout out to the girls, the dance team. They need more recognition, but
Oh yeah.
she was like they want me to do this one silly when I just like this and yeah, but no, normally they just random. They just come to mind and they just random.
All right. Well, I hope that she's coaching you up, and I hope we see a good choreographed dance here at a big time touchdown coming up this week. Um, Man, Daquan, it's always a pleasure to see your smiling face, and great game this past Saturday. And I'm looking forward to watching you build on it and continue to be a stud here the rest of the year.
Thank you for having me, Duff.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. That is Daquan Stanley, superstar wide receiver. Big game this past week. Super grateful for him taking the time out of his day to come on. And now we move on to our last guest, but certainly not least. We have Jeremiah Bailey, who's been patiently waiting. Defensive lineman, a familiar face for the Colonels, and I'll say it again, another superstar. Here we go. Here's Jeremiah Bailey. What's up, Jeremiah?
What up, Duff?
How are you doing? How are you feeling after this past weekend?
Good, man. Just ready to get after another win, another game, another opportunity.
Absolutely. When you look at the stats, I think it credits you here. For 24 tackles and a sack, does it ever make you mad? Because I can be honest, I think you've been in on a lot more than one sack this year. Would I be right when I say that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ESPN, they got their ways. It just, I mean, sometimes you just got to watch the film.
Absolutely, you're completely right. When you look at the D line, though, you're a guy that I like to have somebody on after they play a big game, but you're one of those guys that I can lean on and I can put in any week of the season, which I really appreciate. Um, but you're just a consistent and I want to say unsung hero because at times you don't get the spotlight being on the D line that you should get, but you're in there, you're causing problems. You caused a lot of problems this past weekend. How do you go about your business, being that silent factor? What's the role in the defense that the D line plays that maybe the average spectator doesn't see?
I'm answer part by part. As far as like the recognition and all that goes, I mean, I've always been very like humble, so I kind of always not underestimate myself, but I always kind of like I tend to downplay a lot of situations or a lot of like hype, I guess, that's around me, just because I feel like that moment that somebody like lets it get up here, it just, you know what I'm saying, everything starts going downhill. So I kind of like to just, if I hear it, appreciate it, but I'm not really like, oh my God, look what they saying about me. Like, no, the main goal is to get to the league, play ball. Like, I'm just doing what I love, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of bigger than that to me, at least. But as far as like going about my work, I mean, I've always been taught from a young age, like, consistency is key. Like, you can't. It's hard to progress as a player, and we do a lot, especially at D line. Like, you do a lot to get better and perfect at your craft. And I feel like a big thing I pride myself on is once I get something down, I don't let it go. And you see that a lot nowadays at college. Like, some players, they'll get good at some things and then try to work on others, and then the things they got good at, they just aren't the same as that in that field anymore. And it's kind of like, I feel like if you're always consistent, you always got somebody that's counting on you, and you're doing your 111. And I feel like as far as D line play, like, a lot of things that people don't see is like sometimes we not in on every tackle, or sometimes we don't make a sack every play like everybody wants on the pass up here. I mean, it's a lot that we do as a D line. We're like the offensive line of the D line. Like, we do a lot of the dirty work. We clear up a lot of paths so linebackers can make plays, so safeties can come down and make plays. Like, it all works hand in hand together. But we're pretty much the front that, like, and it's a lot of stuff people don't really see that we see and coaches see and people that really know like the game see, that like technique wise that D linemen do, and it's kind of cool to watch.
Right, and that's the unsung heroes I'm talking about. I mean, you got a guy like Braden Sullivan goes back there and Caden Smith, and if they have a 12, 13, 14 tackle game, people really should know and do know that it comes from those guys up front keeping those blockers off of them. And then
Right.
you even look at, this past weekend, you guys got home in the pass rush, but beyond that, even if you don't get a sack on that play, if they get an errant throw, that's on you guys getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, it's a win for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
it's
that's
been
yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's another thing too. Like, I feel like a lot of people kind of see it as like, oh, he threw it out of bounds or he threw a bad throw. Like, it's still the same down and distance, but to us, that's a win. You know what I mean? Like, because every play in offense wants to be ran to gain yards, and we feel like even if we don't get the sack and he's back there running around and getting them off his spot, is what we say, we get them off their spot where they can't throw it and they got to throw in weird arm angles or on the run. Like, I feel like that's a win for us. Especially, I feel like our coaches do a great job of like breaking down who quarterbacks really are and what they can and can't do. Like, we know certain guys, like, hey, this week this guy's not very accurate rolling to his right than he is rolling to his left. So a lot of our focus will be, all right, let's make sure if he scrambles out this pocket, he's going this way. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we do a good job of that, which leads to a lot of the stuff that we do up front.
Definitely. And you have the freak of nature stature of being a massive human being, a strong human being, but also having the closing speed that not many people are blessed with. Is that something that you've always had? Was there some extra training that had to go into the speed and athleticism that you have today? Were you a track kid, or where does that come from?
Yeah, so like growing up, when I first started playing football, my first position was running back. And I played running back pretty much all of Pee Wee, running back, receiver, corner. Like, I played all skill positions. I've never been like in the trenches until I got to, was it middle school, I believe. And even then, I was still small. I was at a smaller school, so we didn't have a lot of people to play like O-line. So I was just like, you know what, I'm strong. I'll go down there and block. I don't mind. But I've always been at skill positions until I got to high school, and then I just started putting on weight like crazy. Like my freshman year of high school, I was playing receiver, and safety. I was starting at not starting, but I was a second string, third stringer, rotational guy on the varsity team at nickel. Like basically our Sam position is what I
Oh,
played.
wow.
Yeah, and so that's where I originally was, and then just started putting on weight. Like I went from 175 to 225 in 6 months, and then it just kept going up. And so I went down and played tight end, linebacker, defense end, and that's why I started getting into the trenches world a little bit. But yeah, I've always been like at a skill position, so I guess the speed's kind of been there, and I've always been like faster than certain people as well. So I mean, like I feel like playing those positions, I did have to do certain like speed training, but I never really ran track, and I ran track for one semester, and I didn't even really run track. I was a thrower, but I did some running stuff, like just to make sure I was fast or whatever, and prepared to come to college.
Well, you've had me fooled. I mean, with the sacks that you've come up with and the touchdowns that I say two because you had one called back that should have never been, but
Right.
touchdowns that you've had in your career with breakaway speed, it's pretty impressive. When you look at the defensive line that you have now, you have well, first let's talk about, you're a familiar face for the entire fan base. You've been kind of one of the go-to guys on this team for a few years. I'm sure that brings a sense of pride, but also a team captain. What kind of new role did you step in? Does the game slow down to you? And then what kind of new role did you step in when you became a captain? And how has the mindset shifted with all of that this year? Loaded question, but I'll
Yeah.
throw it over to you.
I'll start the question like this. It was it was one of the, I think it was Houston Christian, but I want to say it was Nichols. But it was either one of the first two home games, and like I knew, like like talking to like y'all or players or whatever, everybody's kind of like like the fans like you, whatever, like you kind of building a name or whatever. And it's like I said, I don't
Mhm.
really like listen to stuff like that. And then it was after the game, and it was Telly came in the locker room, and he was just like, "Bro, I don't think you understand, but like the fans love you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because it was so random. Like he just literally went up to me. Like usually I'm like, "What up, Telly?" Whatever, And then
Yeah.
like he just came off with that, and I was just kind of like, "What are you talking about?" And then he was just like, "Bro, like I just sat in the stands for a game just to see what our fans really think, and what I'm saying, trying to hear from them." And he was like, "Every time you do something, make a play, whatever, like get the crowd into it." He's like, "They just love it. Like they eat it up." And I was just like, okay, that's kind of like, it was kind of like that sense of pride, like, okay, like maybe I am doing something right. Maybe like that people do love me, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I do feel that a lot, especially at home games. And because like it's just something about playing at home, you know what I mean? And then knowing your fans is gonna show up for you. And like Telly said, like the fans gonna have my back. So I feel like it's always playing with an extra brother out there, you know? And then I feel like playing with the D line, like it's fun. Like it's been a challenge for me this year because, like you said, like stepping into the captain role, a new role. Um, I wouldn't really say it's a new role, but it's a new role because I feel like last year, I was kind of like a voice. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
wouldn't really call myself a
Definitely.
leader, but some would. But I was like kind of like people would listen. You know what I mean when I spoke. So now it's
100%.
at the point to where it's like people look up to me for the answers, you know what I mean? Or people like watching me all the time, see how I practice, see how I go about meetings, see how, and I feel like it's always I'm in the forefront, or if there's a decision made or whatever, and it's kind of like it's a good thing. Like I like it because like I talk to Ryan Jackson a lot. Like I ask him questions almost every other day, every other week. Like going to his office, like, yo, like how did you deal with this? Like how did you handle this? Like what you think I should do about this? Like
I got you. Oh, wait, you might have gone mute. Are you there? Hang on 1 second. We'll remove him and add him back. There are you? You there? I can't hear you right now. Let me see if I can mess around with muting. How about now? Are you there? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Here, why don't you leave and join back, and then we'll get it. I can't hear a word you're saying. How about here? We'll leave and then come back on. Technical difficulties. Sorry everyone listening as we hit an hour. Obviously the show, we've had a few technical difficulties, but it's been 3 great guests to hear from, and here we go. Jeremiah's back, so let's add him
There we
on.
go. Yeah,
There
I
we
don't know
go.
what happened.
Nope,
All right,
no problem.
yeah, but like I was saying, I mean, it's I like the role. Like I like the challenge. I'm always up for a challenge. Like so, I feel like it's a challenge being able to, have the eyes on me and like people look up to me for all the stuff now, and it's a great role. It's a lot on your shoulders, but it's a great role at the end of the day.
Definitely. I want to kind of go back to what you first said with the fans, and you're someone that plays with a lot of energy, and obviously I will say that you've always been a leader also to address that, but to sit in the stands and kind of hear, everyone does get fired up when you start going and you're making plays and you're getting everyone juiced up because you're all excited. Talk about, I know everyone talks about the team goal to be undefeated at home. How do you feel right now coming off last game, just knowing that you're 10-0 at home in the past 10 games? And what kind of pride does that build moving forward at home with some big ones coming up?
I feel like the record at home, it's been in my mind a little bit, because obviously like it's a big deal, like you know what I mean. But I feel like as a team and personally, like we don't really, what I'm saying, look into that. I mean, like obviously it's a big deal. Like Coach Wells has made that a big emphasis. Like that's the team goal, like undefeated at Roy Kidd Stadium. Nobody's gonna walk in here and beat us at our home. Like that's just it's got to mean more. So I feel like we have taken that level of intensity when we play at home to another level because it obviously means something more to everybody out there. And you could definitely feel it. I say like Saturday, I felt it a lot. Like, cause you know how sometimes you're in a game and then like how DQ said, like everything's clicking. Like offense was clicking, defense was clicking, special teams was clicking. It's just like, okay, like as a captain, you just sitting there, you just watching how the sidelines into it, the fans into it, the coaches are coaching. Like you just looking and it's like, we look like a team right now. Like we look good. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, okay, you got to kind of snap it clear. But I feel like the 10-0, like it's obviously a big deal and something we want to keep doing because that's major. But I mean, I feel like every game we take serious and we go in there giving our best shot because we feel like we can win every game that we step foot on.
Definitely. When you have you've been here, you played pretty much your entire time here, but
Right.
you have been a part of a defensive line that's been incredible for many years, and you've gotten to play with a lot of really talented players that we could go down the list. And you saying Ryan Jackson, Coach Ryan Jackson, that it makes me think of that. How unique is the culture at EKU, and from a defensive line perspective with the culture in your room, and then also some of the offensive linemen, you got to go one-on-ones every day against Peyton Collins, who's balling out in the CFL. So speak to just kind of the culture that Coach Wells has built here at EKU and what that practice is like, and practice culture just all in one, just a culture shift that Coach Wells brought.
I mean, I feel like our culture is like it's pretty straightforward. Like it's in everything we say, like passion, purpose, and pride. Like toughness, like you know what I'm saying. Matter of pride, expect to win. Like I feel like whatever you see when you search up Eastern Kentucky football, or you read about, or you hear about, or you hear like interviews of us talking about, or Coach Wells talking about. I feel like whatever you hear is exactly what you're gonna get. We're gonna be tough nosed culture, like you gonna have to earn your way. But I feel like as far as when it comes to like players culture, I feel like it can't get no better. Like the way we accept new transfers, freshmen, like anybody on the roster, like you could be the last man on the roster, the first man on the roster. It doesn't matter. Like anybody, any position room is gonna treat you like family. They're gonna get to know you. Like nobody's like there's just I would say like I'm glad that I came here and joined the team. Like every year it's always been that way. Like there's a lot of teams where you can look out in the country and it's like we got player problems, we got issues like there's clicks, this and that third. And I feel like we do a great job of making sure like there's team bonding, like And we might not do the most fun team bonding you're gonna see out, like we going go-kart riding and this and like we and I like that, you know, and it's like, yeah, everybody want to do that because it looks cool, it probably is fun, like yeah, but when you sit down and you really like just talk, you know what I'm saying? Like talk to somebody and figure out their background, figure out what makes them go, figure out where they're coming from, and then it builds something more special than just a bond. It builds a brotherhood, and that's nothing more you can ask for as a player, because especially in the D-line room, I feel like ever since I've got here, we've been like this. And like I feel like you could tell when you watch us play, like we've all been like this, like especially that last year. Like I feel like when I came here, the old heads only in the room was TK and KD. You know what I mean? And everybody else either had a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like we were all kind of a little young. We weren't young, but I was probably the only youngest one. But like we had more time to spend together. You know what I mean? And I feel like that year before last year, and then last year, like that bond we had in the D-line room, like we all still talk to this day. We all still play the game to this day. Like Brian's having a wedding, we all in his wedding. Like it's just something like, and it's stuff like that makes me happy because it makes me know that I chose the right location. And I'm glad that I chose the location because when I wanted to come to college, this was stuff that I wanted to come for. Like this is what you play the game for. Like when the game's all done, yeah, you're gonna miss the games, you're gonna think about the plays, but it's like the people that you meet, the bonds you build. Like I feel like anybody that I've been a part of a team with since I've been here, I can pick up the phone and call at any moment, and they'll pick up.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's why I do this right now. I get the chance to talk to you guys and catch up with you guys, which is pretty special for me. It's fun to get to go back and, just be 1 year removed and miss maybe playing, but get to watch you guys and be screaming at the top of my lungs. I probably went a little too overboard this past weekend, but, just getting into the game and getting excited for you guys. I think it speaks to the culture. On top of that, too, what you said about transfers, I mean, EKU in the recent years that I've been a part of, and then even this year, it seems, has a really unique way of bringing in these transfers, and they fold right in and don't skip a beat. And it's pretty incredible because I think there's just no egos in any of the rooms, which is awesome to see. You have an interesting kind of journey or perspective just playing at EKU. You've been in the same place the entire time, but you've had 3 different D-line coaches. You've gone from Coach Hawkins, Coach Mathis, and now Coach LeBlanc. Talk to me just kind of about, navigating those changes, and what does Coach LeBlanc bring to the staff that has been an asset for you this year?
I said this on the Blue Stallion podcast on Thursdays, I think beginning of the year. Greg actually the same question. I was just like, I mean, to me, I feel like it's been a blessing. Like, I feel like a lot of people, like I said, like the consistency part. Like, I feel like a lot of people could get new D-line coaches and it not work out for them, they not click or whatever. But fortunately enough, I've been able to gel with all 3 coaches and have a good relationship. I feel like, you know what I mean? And I feel like they've taught me all a lot and taught me, like, added to my game. You know what I mean? I feel like I take a piece every day. Like I could see, like I take, like the way I think, like I take something from each coaching style, and I feel like they were all good coaches to me. They taught me a lot. As far as Coach LeBlanc is, I feel like he's brought a lot of juice to the room. He's younger, so like he's relatable to us. And he knows what he's talking about. He knows ball. I mean, his dad's an NFL D-line coach. You know what I mean? And he coached at Georgia. So, I mean, it's a lot of knowledge that he knows and a lot of stuff that he's brought to our play and opened our eyes to see. And it shows, like, we're out there making a lot of plays across the board. So I feel like the way that we brought in all 3 coaches and how they've all played a role, I mean, I can't be nothing but blessed about it, and I'm thankful for it.
That's an incredible outlook. Obviously, from a player perspective, you never know what that change brings, but you're completely right. I mean, the way that you've looked at it, the way that you've learned from every single one of them, and the way that you've gelled just from what I've seen firsthand with all these guys, I mean, there's a reason you're kind of a go-to guy in that room. My last kind of question for you, and I'll let you go because I know it's getting late here, but when you look at the week ahead and last week and just kind of the season to this point, what is it going into this week that you look for the defense to improve on? And what are you maybe not satisfied is the wrong word, but what do you feel good about it with the defense, and what are you guys looking to improve on? What's the message moving forward throughout the rest of the season?
Defensively, I feel like, well, we all know this, and like we felt the same way last year. Like we haven't played our best game yet, and I feel like we've shown flashes of it. Like everybody sees it when I watch us play. Like the defense looks good. Like we look like we gelling. You know what I mean? Like we're playing hard, physical. Like guys look like they know what they're doing out there. And I feel like for me, this week, I just want to see like how Coach Johnson put it, we just playing. Like you see a lot of guys just out there being free, playing fast, hitting hard, and excitement. Like I feel like a lot of times, like, and I feel like I got to get to that as well. Like not just only being excited when we make the plays, like us individually as a defense, but watching somebody else make a play. You know what I mean? Like letting that get us going. Like having that type of love for one another that somebody else make a play, we feel like we made the play, and then it just elevates the play of the whole unit. And we just out there just, like I said, playing fast and free. And obviously at the end of the day, like we haven't had a shutout in a few years here. And I feel like this could be the year that we do it. And I'm waiting on it. And when we do it, it's going to be a great day. You probably won't hear the end of it.
We will have a shutout party here. I'll have an all defensive Maroon Momentum show. If we get a shutout, I gotta think of some kind of crazy thing to do because that would be an awesome feat. But yeah, I mean the defense is rolling. I love to hear you say that you haven't played your best game yet because dang, we've seen some pretty good games. So I'm excited for you the rest of the year. I know that you're going to continue to be, the voice and the heartbeat a lot on that defense. And it's been exciting to watch you so far. I appreciate you taking the time to catch up and be on this show tonight. Sorry it ran a little bit late, but
good.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. That was defensive lineman Jeremiah Bailey. Always awesome to talk to him. Another great guy. Very grateful to have a lot of great players in this program and a lot of great people in this program. And the guys that we had on tonight represent both sides of that. Obviously, sorry for all the technical difficulties kind of there early on in the show. With our interview with Josh and then kind of there in the end frame right there. But thank you for sticking with me in this show. And we'll make sure that anything like that hopefully gets cleaned up in the future. But, man, it was a great time to get to interview those guys. And like I said, incredible people, incredible players, and incredible insight. Everyone's so articulate and able to give, in-depth insight beyond just maybe what you can get in the stands and what you can get watching just me talk, something like that. So I'll just quickly kind of overview the game coming up and then close for tonight. But, we have North Alabama at North Alabama. They're 1-5. When you first look at their record, it's underwhelming. But it's one of those teams in the UAC, man. The UAC is one of the best conferences in FCS football. You have to come ready to play every game. They proved that when they took Illinois State, who's 4-2. They took them to double overtime and barely lost. Illinois State's only losses are to Oklahoma, who is ranked like 14th in the country or something right now for FBS. And they lost to North Dakota State, leading national champion in FCS, only by 17. So Illinois State 4-2, double overtime with UNA. So definitely something that you need to watch. You can't overlook any opponent. UNA has a quarterback transfer from Stanford, Ari Patu. I hope I said his name right. In that Illinois State game that they played, he threw for 243 yards and 4 touchdowns. Every other game that he's played in, his next highest is 111 yards. So I think it's clear that the goal this weekend is not to let that guy get going. Otherwise, you're in the danger zone of a dogfight. Also, their running back, Javian Allen, 5.7 yards per carry. So definitely look for Jeremiah and the boys up front to hold strong and be stout, and the linebackers to scrape and clean that up. And I'm sure somehow Jaheim Ward will find his nose into some big plays and big tackles there in the box from the safety position. And like I said, exciting time. I think everyone's just hoping the offense picks up where it left off. Miles Burkett, a great game last game. Hopefully we just keep that going from Miles and Brady and Braden and Daquan and Jaden West and Marcus Cowwise, and the O-line continues to protect like they did last game, especially on that last touchdown with Brady Hensley. Exciting times in Richmond, exciting times to be an EKU fan, and I am incredibly grateful to get to do this show. Thank you to John Clark State Farm. I truly mean it when I say you can always count on Clark. I know I certainly can. So check out John Clark State Farm for your insurance needs. And can't thank you enough for tuning in. Everybody have a very great week, very great finish to your week, and I hope you have an even better Saturday. With that said, thank you, and till next time, go Colonels.